So today we're going to talk about assets tokenization. And before we start, we need to understand what type of assets can be tokenized. All of these assets, they relate to what is called RWA, real world assets. And when you start thinking or you start working with tokenization, you should know what type of assets can be tokenized. Basically, there are four types of assets, real world assets, that can be tokenized. First of all is the corporate securities. A company creates a security, which can be an equity, which can be other form of security, and this legal contract, this corporate security can be put on the blockchain, or in other words, can be tokenized. So the first asset which can be tokenized are the private securities or securities of a private company. The second type of assets which can be tokenized are the financial instruments. So we see those type of instruments everywhere, and those are public securities, for example, a Tesla stock, for example, or the Apple stock, or stocks that you can find on NASDAQ, on New York Stock Exchange. All these stocks can be tokenized. What is tokenized? Is put on the blockchain. So this is a new ledger, a Web3 ledger. It's a technology. It's based on the blockchain technology, basically, and moving assets from traditional ledgers to decentralized ledgers or to the blockchains. This is what is called a tokenization. So the second asset class which can be tokenized are the financial instruments, and these are public securities or commodities. So we can see that something like gold is transferred to the blockchain. For example, a company named Paxos has created a token which is gold-backed token. So gold can be tokenized and represented in a form of a digital tokens on the private or public blockchains. The third type of assets which can be tokenized are what is called a fixed assets. So what are fixed assets? A real estate. So a company can tokenize a real estate, and this is one of the greatest examples of utilization of tokenization. Why? Because via the process of tokenization, an asset class which is illiquid, right? You can't move freely a real estate, right? Because you have to follow certain procedures to buy the real estate or to sell real estate. But if you tokenize a real estate, the process of purchasing those security tokens or real estate backed tokens can be done easily, seamlessly on the blockchain. So remember, a third class which can be tokenized is the real estate. And we see the major boom in the interest of different companies around the world, real estate companies that are moving towards the blockchain, moving their assets to the blockchain, because it's easy to manage, it's easy to trade, it's exposed to all of the world. Anybody can come in, buy a piece of property. If you don't have enough funds to buy and to purchase a real physical real estate, you can participate via these digital tokens backed by the real estate of the issuer. The fourth type of asset is what is called a tangible asset. And what are tangible assets? Art is a tangible asset. So by tokenizing art, you're basically putting your real art piece, digital or physical, you put the ownership of that art object represents in the form of blockchain tokens. And this actually what is also called tokenized assets, right? Tokenized tangible assets. So you can tokenize art. You can tokenize something like collectibles, like a Rolex watch. It can be also tokenized. You can tokenize intellectual property. You can tokenize different alternative assets. So what I'm saying is that anything, almost any asset that actually holds value can be tokenized and represented in a form of digital tokens. Just to summarize, there are four major asset classes that can be tokenized, right? So there's a corporate securities, there's a securities of private companies like equity, like DATS, profit share. There's tokenization. The second is tokenization of financial instruments. There's a tokenization of real estate, or what is called fixed assets. And the last but not the least is tokenization of tangible assets like art, collectibles, music, intellectual property, name it. So tokenization is the driver to put assets ownership on the blockchain itself. Let me explain what is the tokenization of private equity. So imagine you have a company and you're doing any type of business. You're doing a marketing business, for example, and you are with your friends and family, you are the owners or the co-owners of the company. And you need to expand, you need to raise funds, you need to create community, you need to grow your business. So one of the ways how you can grow your business is by allocating certain amount of your equity for sale, for offering via security tokens, right? So you put a part of your company on the blockchain or the whole company on the blockchain, and you offer them in respect to regulations, in respect to compliance rules, KYC, AML, so on and so forth. You can actually tokenize your business in Europe, in the United States, in some other internationally recognized jurisdictions. You tokenize your company by offering shares of your business in a form of security tokens. So a business that would like to leverage tokenization has a number of choices, right? The business can tokenize a private equity, which is basically their shares, their private securities, the ownership in that business. You can tokenize the ownership of this business, of any private company, and actually offer them to a wide range of investors worldwide, with respect to compliance and with respect to regulations, of course. You can, again, a business can tokenize an equity, a business can tokenize its debts, right? That's when a business lends money from somebody, from the banks, that's one point. But if you want to raise money from the community, for example, one of the ways that could be done is by tokenizing your debt. So a business lends money from the public, it provides certain interest and pays the interest in a form of the debt coupon. So that corporate debts can be tokenized. Another corporate security that can be tokenized, and it's very interesting point, that you can tokenize a revenue share in your business or a profit share in your business. So imagine you're running a business and you have a certain markup, and instead of offering your equity to your investors, right, and then diluting your ownership of the business, you can tokenize the revenue itself. So your investors would be would have interest in a part of the revenue of your company without actually owning the stake in the company itself. Another very important point and asset class that can be tokenized is the funds units, right? When there is an investment funds that are, doesn't matter if it's for retail investors or if it's for accredited investors, the whole point of tokenizing a fund is basically moving those funds from traditional ledgers to the blockchain. The management of these fund units becomes very much easier in a sense and much more tradable with respect to tokenizing funds, right? Investment funds. And there's all sorts of other corporate securities that can be tokenized. We at Stobox, we actually provide all the consulting for the companies that are looking to leverage tokenization, as well as we know how private equity, debts, revenue shares, and other corporate securities can be tokenized in a fully compliant, registered way with respect to regulations worldwide. And this is amazing.